SquareHammer.
Welcome to the Forge. Whether you're sitting at your desk, driving to work, or you're in some other far-off corner of the old world, this is SquareHammer.
Yeah.
What's up? That was wonderful, Blue. Thank you for that lovely introduction.
I know
It's
you
been a
did.
hot minute since we've done one of these. And for those astute listeners and or watchers amongst us, all of our fans and all of the corners of the internet, wherever you are, thank you for everything you do for us. We are joined by two new folks today. And just let's take a quick minute. These two guys are going to be joining us in some capacity in the future, and wanted to take the opportunity and introduce them, let them talk themselves a little bit up. Peter, what's going on, my friend? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on the podcast. This is gonna be awesome. My name's Peter. I live in DC, and I've been playing Warhammer Fantasy for about 11, 12 years now. I started back right at the end of 7th edition and got into it when 8th broke back in 2010. First army was Bretonians, so that was a very fun learning curve, especially early on there when they absolutely sucked, and I was also a new player. But I eventually learned how to use paladin character walls, and that was fine after that. Play high elves, vampire counts, and Empire. I've been working on my Empire recently. Bowie's seen them recently, and excited to be on this, and can't wait to get started with some battle reports or something.
Cool. Next, we have another new face, Bowie, who is to my left over here. Tell us about yourself, Bowie. How long have you been playing? What armies do you play? What's your expertise?
Sure. So, hey guys, I'm Bowie. I've been playing since, I think since middle school. So almost 2 decades now. Since I got in way back in 6th edition, I played for a hot minute. I got the 6th edition started with Empire against Orcs, and that's what first got me in. And then after that, it was a bit of a lull until I picked up actually playing 40K with my friends. But that was what brought me back to the GW as a whole. I got my Elizabeth army after that, and then the rest is history. Funnily enough, I probably bought more armies since Warhammer Fantasy ended than I did when it was alive. So I have Lizardmen, Dark Elves, Wood Elves. I have Orcs and Goblins, and I have a bunch of Kings of War, Abyssal Dwarves that I'm just going to run as Chaos Dwarves and WAP. So
okay,
great.
Sweet.
So as you have more disposable income and you're a little bit older, you're like, let me drop some more into it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like this stereotypical Warhammer story.
Yeah.
It's
I fall in love with it as a kid, and then
It's how to get you.
Played as a kid, then it's not cool anymore because you're going through
High school and college,
your teenage years.
Yeah. No, it's
then you come back to it once you have a job.
Yeah.
and you already have a girlfriend, or you're married, or you're more comfortable with yourself.
No, it's like smoking, man. They appeal to the kids first and they wait for you to grow,
So what's the podcast today going to be talking about? Talking about WAP, maybe some fantasy, some 8th edition, comparing it to WAP. That's Warhammer's Armies Project. Whoever doesn't know what WAP really stands for, what does WAP really stand for? Has everyone here played games of WAP yet, or are there any outliers remaining?
I've played many games.
Many games?
I'm very familiar with WAP, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I have not played a game of WAP yet.
Kyle knows nothing about WAP.
No, nothing. WAP virgin.
Well, on Tuesday, I am popping Kyle's WAP cherry, so
right,
we're good to go.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I've played a game of 8th using one of the WAP rule books, but I have not played 9th using the WAP 9th book.
Okay. And that was Beastman, right? I think you used your Beastman Codex. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think of that in terms of the 8th edition? Technically, the 6th edition Codex, was it a huge transfer of power? Huge step up?
I would say it was much better than the actual 7th edition Beastman book.
Okay. So I think when I started WAP, we just started WAP maybe a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, max, is when we started to actually really get into it. I was a huge proponent against it, only because we were so into doing 8th edition battle reports, and all the army books that I have and the magic cards I have can pretty much no longer be used. That is probably the biggest detriment to me that I feel that WAP has. But everything else, the rules, the new army books, just the expansion on everything, I love. What did Bowie and Peter, since y'all have played plenty of games with it, like what's the biggest change that you actually have been excited about?
You can go first, Peter.
Okay, I'll go. I'd say actually unit size. You're not seeing these big trains of 50 guys in a bus formation moving around the board. Seeing as there's like a rule where you can't have a unit that is deeper than it is wide, so you can't have more ranks than you have files.
Gotcha.
I think that's pretty interesting. I think we were talking about this the other day. Like the optimal unit size looks to be around 25 models or so, something around there, 20 to 30, I'd say. So that's cool. Like, you have a lot more of those little blocks of troops, kind of stuff that you see in the pictures in the army books, like how they kind of act, how GW used to make it look like the armies were supposed to look, rather than these just big, bricks of like 50 to 100 clan rats. So that's been cool. Obviously, shooting has gotten better because they took away the -1 to hit. There's no long range penalty.
Yeah.
The archers can, if they stand still, they can fire. They can double tap. Shooting just seems like it's become more effective, and it seems like you're actually doing some damage, but that also might be because you have these smaller unit sizes. So you're more likely to cause a panic check or something on a small unit rather than a big 50-man horde. Now,
do they compensate anything? These are rhetorical, but I'm going to ask. Did they compensate anything from making shooting better? What did they do to armor saves, for example?
Yeah. Bowie, you look like you
went
up in there.
They made shields a lot better as well. So if you get shot from the front with shields, you get +1 to your armor save. I think in general, there's a lot of reworking the armor system as a whole, which for the most part appears to really give a lot of people armor that previously didn't really have access to much armor. At least I'm thinking of the elves and my lizard men, as well as chaos and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely a lot more armor saves in terms of kind of getting some buffing there, it feels like.
And I think those rules also made sense how the shield only protects you from missile fire from the front. It's not if you're getting shot from the side. They went the extra mile to actually think about those things and put them in the rules where it's like, okay, well, the facing actually really makes a difference. Also, we did this when we were playing blue. When if you're within 4 inches, you can shoot into combat now. Skaven aren't the only people who can do it. If you're around the flank, you can fire into the back of them, which is it makes sense. I mean, that's that's what happened in Agincourt. Right. Stuff like that. So it's all you have real instances of this happening in a fantasy world.
So for the shooting with shields, so if you're getting shot from the front, you already get a +1 because you're having a shield, but then you get an additional +1 if you're shot with the missile weapon in the front. But if you get shot in the side, you just lose the additional +1. You still get the regular +1. And then if you get shot in the rear, I don't think you get any shield bonus, right? I think that's
not totally sure, but yeah, it sounds like it.
I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
So if I have a unit with nothing but shields, they get a 5 up in the front against missiles and at least a 6 up
in the
side and maybe a 6 up in the back.
Something like that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think you get no shield bonus if you're shot in the rear. You don't even get the plus to armor save. I could be wrong about that. I can check that right now.
Let me just fact check you real quick.
Fact check.
So if we were going to start, before we even go too far much into conversations about WAP, there's a very real reason as to why we're doing this and why we're talking about it. It's not just out of the blue. Ha! No pun intended.
You're right, by the way, when it comes to getting shot in the back, there's no shield bonus. Yeah.
So the SquareHammer YouTube channel, are we going to predominantly start filming WAP battle reports, or are we going to mix in WAP and 8th?
Honestly, I will play whatever people want to play, but right now there are no WAP battle reports on YouTube.
Okay.
Zero.
So we're going to start doing WAP.
Yeah, I think just to corner that market, and I assume there's a lot of people, there's hundreds and hundreds of people on the Discord. They have tons of people on their Facebook group and pages. So to give them some videos, I think that would be cool. And then we can try and get people who love 6th edition, love 7th and 8th edition to try WAP out, because they're so similar. But as you said, that's the reason I think we should start doing WAP. There's some people who are die-hard, not going to change from 6th or 8th edition. So I'll still play with them, but I think WAP is a good way to go.
Okay. Yeah.
We love squares in all their forms, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. Like some of the Facebook groups I'm in, there's I think probably because of coronavirus, like all those Facebook groups exploded over the past year of like different like offshoots of fantasy. Because now I know there's one like the Warhammer Orchard or something where they're playing like a mix of like 6th with like 8th edition spell rules. Like it's something weird like that, but they kind of cherry pick all the parts they like. There's also just, a bunch of traditional 8th groups. There's those like people who are still playing 9th Age for some reason. I don't know. I just couldn't get into that.
I'm not hating on 9th Age. I don't know anything about it. So
hey,
I don't know.
Stop pooping on it, okay?
I tried it. I
is.
played it.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I like WAP. And I think WAP's been cool because it's just like it's a new game to learn. Like we basically haven't had a new edition in 10 years. So it's kind of like picking up a new edition of the game.
Like where GW should have gone, I guess, if they kept going.
So
Exactly.
so if I'm a completely new player, right, and we had to highlight the biggest changes between WAP and 8th edition that we think are good changes. And let's start at the beginning, right? Let's start at like list building, right? Because that's a big change, right? It's no longer 25% board, 25% hero, 25 core, so on and so forth. So how has that changed?
That's been a very I think it's in many ways a bit, I think it's good. I think it's overall more balanced in a sense because they limit like specials to 2 duplicates, no duplicates for rares up to like 3,000 points.
Screwed up on that the other day.
Yes, yeah. So you're not getting like these crazy wild like, hey, here's my double Hellcan list, suck it, or like, hey, here's my double insanity rare choice list. So in many ways, like balancing a lot of like the inherent wonkiness that rares can bring to the table.
It actually makes them rare.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then as for
special
heroes and lords, like 35% rule, I think that's like a huge change there as well. Just because.
So could you explain the rule? Could you explain the rule for why is it 35? When is it 35%?
Yes. So you can only spend at most 25% in either lords or heroes, but total combined, you cannot spend more than 35% of your entire heroes and lords choice compared to the rest of the army list.
Right.
So you can spend 25 in either or, but the combined, it can't exceed 35.
So you can't spend 50% of your army in lords and heroes, which limits a lot of people who like to do hero hammer. It forces you to take more special rare, or if you want to add it out more core, then there you go.
I was even running into problems with it, like building an empire list, because you have all those like little like a warrior priest, a couple warrior priests, an engineer, a couple wizards, witch hunter. It's like you're not able to take like a ton of those, but I think it's really better overall, especially like you talked about, if people's running like character buses, or like I remember seeing a list in a tournament. It was a joke list. I thought it was hilarious, but like of 30 Night Goblin heroes,
all with great weapons.
Yeah, and all
like the front,
and it was stuck in a horde of like 70 archers, so they'd all shoot at you. But then when you charge it, you had to chew through like 30 little like T4 2 wound little
buggers.
Little
buggers, yeah.
Buggers. Yeah, so I like it because, like you said, you can't do shenanigans like that. I know you hated, Peter, that you couldn't do your paladin like 6-man paladin unit anymore. So like you can still do it if you get high enough points, but it forces you to take
you actually
like
take
the
Grail Knights
stable
now.
units. Yeah, Grail Knights are
like,
good.
I wouldn't take Grail
Knights
in 8th because Grail Knights kind of suck. They're toughness 3, but so I just take paladins. You took paladins, but now it's like you have a couple paladins and you actually take a little brick of Grail Knights. So it's kind of like what you're supposed to do in a way.
Okay.
So in a 2,000 point game, I think the biggest problem is that it's tough to take a Lord level wizard and for all the armies that aren't Bretonnia, right? I think it's hard to take a Lord level wizard and a Lord level general, right? In the same army that's 2,000 points.
Yep.
So what I will say though is that I think the important thing when it comes to this is the fact that magic has been drastically reworked as well. I think that's huge because you're no longer, because in 8th edition, like I loved 8th, but you got punished if you didn't bring a level 4 wizard, right? But I think the magic has been reworked such that you're not necessarily as punished. You can get by with just level 1, level 2. We can talk about that in a bit as well, but yeah, that's definitely another hot take that you don't need the level 4 anymore.
Yeah. As far as the rest of like the force org and army building aspect, nothing else has changed, right? It's the limits are still the same.
Core
Exceptions, you can't have duplicate rares and you can't have more than 35% Lord's Heroes.
Yeah, yes. So it's still 25% core, still 20. Is it 50% special still? 50% is that still a thing?
But
okay.
I think the duplicates scale at the point level. So like a 2,500 point game, you could take 2 of the same special.
Right, just not 3, and because it used to be, I think it used to be 3. Yeah, that's right, and only 1 of rare. So there's been a lot of changes. Like for Empire, demigryphs are now rare choices. You can't take 2 units of demigryphs unless you're playing 3,000 points, which is good because those things were really good.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean,
no more double iron blasters. No more double hand cannon or iron blasters and all sorts of stuff. So
double steam tanks.
Yeah, no more of that. No more.
The army books themselves, like they changed a lot of the what's in each choice. Like you said, the stuff moved to rare, stuff moved to special. Like Phoenix Guard are now rare. Not that many people are running duplicate Phoenix Guard, but now you have to come out of your rare allotment.
Right. Oh, same with the Blackguard actually for Dark Elves as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They did go to rare. So how much? I assume you could do like a unit of Phoenix Guard and maybe one of the Phoenixes, and that's like 500 points pretty easily.
Yeah, that's like you're filling up your rare there, and then it's like, but then you don't get an eagle. So it's really some hard choices. You can't take 2 eagles anymore.
Yeah,
which is good because that was annoying as crap. Yeah, it's so crazy.
I love that it is making building lists fresh and challenging again. Like I think everybody in 8th edition, by the time it ended, I think everybody had figured out the meta and how to play the edition. So I can understand and appreciate kind of what you guys are talking about, even though I haven't physically done it myself yet.
You'll get there. A couple days away. 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days. I feel like they kind of took I don't know if anyone remember Highlander rules, but there used to be tournaments that would run the rules as Highlander. So that would limit pretty much the same thing what 9th edition did, which was the duplicate rares and cores and all that stuff. So I really like what they did there.
We sound like we're saying they're taking stuff away, but this is really more of a restructuring. But then you got to look at the actual army books themselves, and they've added a ton of new choices in there. So like there's way more choice when you're actually building your list from the units themselves. Obviously, like I'm just thinking of like the Brett book. You get like Peasant Levy now. You can take a couple different characters. Like you can take like a pseudo warrior priest kind of person there. They have like the magic item supplement. Like there's a lot of new stuff they added in there. But the just restructuring of the force organization chart.
It's like a ton of new lores, a ton of new units to either compensate for third-party models or even older models. Like for Bretonians, you can take Bombards again. That hasn't been around since 3rd edition, so maybe 4th edition, but I know 3rd edition. So it's like they brought back all these older models and allowed for, I mean, they made specific units either that were from Warhammer Total War or from third-party options. Like the Sanctium something of the Lady, is that what it is?
Sacrosanctum or something.
Sacrosanctum. They made that. There's like shrines. Shrines are cool. Think of the what was the Dark Elves cauldron? So a lot of armies have something like that can go in the center of a unit to like buff the unit. Corpse carts do that. What else? I don't even know. But
they also even added units from the Age of Sigmar line, actually, if they're backwards compatible.
True.
So yeah,
backwards compatible.
Yeah. Well, if they're like fits the theme, like you have like Orc Brutes, for example, or like the Iron Jaws from Age of Sigmar, but bigger orcs, so it fits. Or like tree rebels for what else?
all that corn stuff that came in like the starter set. Like you just throw those on square bases, and you can use them as those units now in WAP. Yeah.
Yeah, like Blight Kings or the Slanesh models. The Slanesh models, like the one with like the dude who's like got his like the skin is like strapped up and it's like a heart kind of like that has its own rules now. So
wait, does it?
Or it does.
Oh wow, that was nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Lady Oriana or something. Yeah.
So I already know the answer to this, but in case some of the people listening or watching don't, the Warhammer Armies Project rule set allows you to be very flexible with the size of the bases for your figures now.
Yes.
Right? Like it's no longer standard that elves and humans and goblins, etc., are all on 20 mil square bases, or anything like a Lizardman or Chaos Warrior is on a 25. Like they give you a lot of flexibility to choose the right size base, which I always appreciate. I definitely appreciate that.
As long as it's square.
What was the question? You didn't ask a question.
There wasn't one.
Oh, okay.
I think he's commenting on the square bases, which is huge because I always feel as though like 20 millimeters, it's tiny, okay?
Yeah.
And like 25 is just it's just nice to have space and you don't feel too cluttered and stuff. Like I mean, the big thing that it changes who fights and how they fight with the change of base size, but like, man, like having 25 millimeters humans, it's such a world of difference when you rack them up. They're not like fighting for positions and like hitting up against each other, and
Kind of reminds me also that how you can always strike against the unit now.
Yeah.
So there's no more character walls. So that's a huge thing. That definitely comes in. That's why I think the basing change is fine, because you're not trying to no one's going to do that to like maximize how big like a character base is. Right. So they take up like the whole front rank because it's irrelevant because you just strike on the rank and file if you want to anyway.
So you're talking about the whole like if I get in a challenge with someone and those like the models behind or that are in base contact with that character, but are no longer in contact with the unit. So in 8th edition, you couldn't swing at the unit. They got rid of that in WAP. You can always swing at the unit no matter what.
Not only that, but the bullshit Iron Gut bus is as good as it used to be, right?
Correct.
Because you don't have to fight the Butcher or the Bruiser or the Fire Belly. You can fight
exactly. Yes, exactly. Kyle's happy about that, I guess.
I'm thrilled. You guys have no idea.
And I think they actually took away that rule for the ogres where they could go in they haven't clarified this yet, really. So what's awesome. So if you have any rules questions, you can ask on the Discord and they will respond in kind. And if there's any problems on the Battle Scribe, which they have updated really freaking well, they will update it. You just got to post it in their Discord. But ogres used to be able to put their characters in the second rank because the command group used to have to go in the front rank and then characters go behind because obviously you'd be 3 wide. But I think now the characters they take precedent over the command group. So just saying.
Yeah, Vampire Counts had that with like the Black Knight bus where you had like 2 fighty guys and then the command in front and then like your Necromancer behind that. So you'd never get to touch them.
Okay.
Yeah. But now that's gone.
So let's talk about magic because it kind of relates to the gameplay and it kind of relates to the list building. So in WAP, you get to choose your spells before the game starts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You no longer have to roll for them randomly and try and make whatever you roll fit into the game.
Mm-hmm.
So in practice, what is that like? Do you feel like it is more liberating to be able to choose your spells, or is it more I don't know, is it
easy mode?
Is it kind of predictable?
The only problem I have with it is there's spells that you'll probably never ever use depending on the lore, unless you're like trying to tailor for someone and you and your opponent know who you're playing against. There's some spells you will never ever take. So you will probably always take the same couple spells that fit within your army list, which is fine because if you always run the same army, that's cool.
Yeah.
It definitely changes a lot.
Let me ask a pointed question because I haven't gone through it yet. I go to my friendly local game store to play a game of WAP against somebody. before I even get there, have I already chosen what spells I want, or do I choose what spells I want once I see who I'm playing against or what I'm playing against?
I think you have to choose when you make the list.
I don't know. I think it says before the game starts.
Does it really?
We looked at it yesterday, Bowie. Obviously, I could be completely wrong, but
Right.
yeah, it looks like you can straight up tailor it.
Really?
So that's good. I actually really like that more because it doesn't shoehorn you into all the same spells all the time. Like maybe if you're
chosen at the start of each battle.
Oh
So
wow.
yes,
Yeah.
depending on who you're playing against, what army and army list.
so there may be spells that you normally wouldn't take.
Ogres are taking Purple Sun.
No.
Now they fit in, right? So it gives you an opportunity to use them.
That reminds me back of like 7th edition, where you used to just pick the lore before you started a game. So it was always kind of like, oh, what am I facing? Where is Bretonia? Here's metal, baby.
Gotcha.
So what did they change, guys, in terms of like picking your spells? Or sorry, I'm stupid. Not picking your spells, but casting your spells. What wizards, like what casting value do you add, and what spells are actually available per wizard?
Oh man, like we can do. I guess I'll take a point on this because there's a huge change to what you do when it comes to casting spells. And I think this is, in turn leads to my overall critique of 8th edition, which is to say that like 8th edition magic was just a big dominant force. You couldn't ignore it. It would just mess you up. But with WAP though, like they did a lot of things. One, they cut down the casting benefits. So it's really just half the wizard level rounding up. So you no longer have the big +4, beat stick coming at you. It's at most +2 unless you do other magic stuff with it, which is like way more manageable compared to, the crazy stuff we used to do. And the other big thing too is that when it comes to casting dice, you're limited to your wizard level +2. So you can't have like a level 2, like dropping 6 dice or something. And then finally, the big spells of each lord is only attainable by the level 4 of the relevant lord, by the relevant, wizard. So level 4 can only take this 6th spell of any given lord, which in turn means that you're not necessarily going to have a level 2 dropping Purple Suns and stuff.
Right. You have to pay the points to. You have to pay to play. You have to pay to play.
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, you are bringing a level 4 just to have access to that level 6 spell.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
Bigger wizard, bigger spell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Why does a level 1 somehow randomly roll and get a 6, and it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Purple Sun.
So is the generation of magic dice still the same?
It's still the same. Oh,
So you still roll 2d6 and then you channel.
Mhm.
And
Channel's different. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, channel that you do a 5-up channel now. If you're generating power dice, dispo dice, it's still a 6-up, but you have a 5-up chance of getting more power dice.
okay.
Did you
So
go
if you
over
took
how
like
many,
the, go ahead. Go ahead, take your shot.
did you touch on how many dice you can chuck at stuff? Like,
Oh, wizard level +2, yeah.
yeah, so
Right.
you can't like throw 6 dice at everything if you're level 1.
But dispelling, you can still chuck as many dice as you want at it. So
Yeah.
Right.
And the loss of concentration is still the same. And
no, only if you roll like snake eyes or roll a 2, you lose concentration that way.
okay.
So if you fail the spell but you didn't roll like a 2, you can or 3, I think it's probably 2. You can still keep on casting spells like that. So it's way less punishing.
Mhm. And then the miscasts, so miscasts only happen on
different.
1s now, right? And then on 6s you add 3 power dice.
Right.
Yep.
So
Right.
it's kind of like what 6th edition used to do. Miscasts were just double 1s, and then no, it's like I think it's called ultimate power now. It's no longer like irresistible force. So if I rolled 4 dice at a spell and I rolled 1 6, I then get to roll in another die on top of that, and that could contribute to either miscast or I don't think you get to roll again. It's not like exploding 6s where you can keep going.
Yeah. So if I roll 3 dice, I get a 1, a 4, and a 6. My total roll is 11.
Mhm.
But then I get the ability to roll an additional 3 power dice because I got a 6.
Right.
And
But
then if I roll another 6 at that point, what happens? Nothing.
Nothing, it's over.
Okay, it's over. But if I roll 1, I miscast, and then I roll on this massively revised miscast chart.
And
Yes.
even though you did miscast, the spell can still go off. You resolve the spell, but then you roll miscast after that.
Mm-hmm. So first, So first they say for ultimate power, rules is written, which they say that said in Discord, but I think they're gonna edit it. Like it would be exploding sixes, but they're trying to edit it so it doesn't do that, because then you could cast something on an 85 or something and it couldn't get obviously dispelled, because scrolls are different too.
Yep.
But the miscast table is pretty cool now. So for as many dice you rolled to cast the spell, let's say you rolled 4 dice, it goes off, but you roll 2 1s. You roll a d6 and add the number of dice thrown to cast the spell. So it'd be a d6 plus 4, and then you consult the chart.
And is the chart as volatile as it was previously, or is it more or less?
There's a lot more options. It used to just be maybe like 6, I think, maybe 5 or 6. It was either 2 to 3 as you're like could be sucked into the warp. So it's pretty volatile. I think only if you get a 12 plus, your wizard is just removed from play immediately. You don't even get to roll to see if he lives. He's just gone. Just bye. So you would have to roll 6 dice towards the spell and then get a 6 on the d6 on the miscast for him to like go away.
There are magic items that can mess around with this chart, miscast chart.
So it's not too bad. There's a 2 through 3 is you lose of power. You just can't cast anymore. Lost concentration. There's the feedback one, which is a little different. It's only a strength 4 hit, and it's only within 12 inches of the guy that cast it. So it's not like your entire board with a wizard. There's forgetting spells. I don't think there's any you lose dice anymore. I don't think that's a thing. So if I miscast with one wizard, I don't like the pool doesn't go away, because usually it used to be like you use d6 dice as walls from the pool. I think they took that away.
Okay.
It would basically destroy magic phase back in 8th anyway.
Right. So the new rules coupled with the kind of tempering down of all the spells and the limitations that are placed on you just because of the way you create an army kind of makes Magic just wholly less effective or less game breaking potentially.
I don't know.
Is that a correct statement? Or
still effective, very effective. It's balanced again.
I would say that Magic Defense is to the point where you don't have to bring level 4 just to play Magic Defense anymore. You can still bring like a level 1 with the Discball Scroll just to be able to stop some stuff. Because before, I always felt as though if you had like a level 4, you could just basically wave his magic wand around and just start smashing people if there's only level 1 that's opposing you.
Right. Because now at that point, it's only a +1 difference to cast and dispel, unless you took like magic items that gave you plus to dispel. Because a level 4 is only adding +2. A level 3 or 4 is only adding +2, but a level 1 and 2 is only adding +1. So it's not that big of a variance between them. But Magic is still strong. If you don't have a good Magic defense and you're going against like level 4s, they will still get all their spells off, because casting all the spells are relatively the same. They are still strong. They're still like Doombolt, for example, is still D6 strength 5, and if it's cast on the big one, it's 2d6. So like most spells kept the same damage output or even the same buffs. It's just to cast and dispel is a little bit more even. So it I guess it tones it down overall.
What about the tester die spells? Are those modified at all?
I haven't really looked into it.
I try to avoid them. So
I think speaking for like the dark magic, I think they still the same. I think shadow magic still kept the same as well. So I think the tester die is still the same. So
do you get ward saves from it though?
Saves have changed so much too. Like ward saves. I mean, obviously we'll talk about this later, but like how the ward saves now stack.
Talk about boosted spells and how you don't have to.
Yeah, so you don't have to declare anymore if you're going for the big version. If you just get that on your dice, you just get the boosted version.
Great.
So that's kind of nice. Also, bound spells are pretty cool now, because you get an extra die if you're casting a bound spell. So you still have to use one of your power dice, but you get a free one to throw at it too. So like it's been really nice, like running warrior priests. You can throw like one die at the prayers and get that off, and then like the magic items, if you're using a bunch of I used a bunch of bound magic items when I was playing as high elves the other day. Just way more fun than having to throw like 2 dice at to get like a 3 or something.
Wait, so a bound spell gets a free dice when you cast?
Yep.
Ah, I messed that up the last game I played. Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
that would have been better.
Looking at
because I was playing Cult of Uruk, and it says in their specific rule that they get an additional D3. So I guess that means they get a 2 dice plus a D3 when they're just throwing 1. That might have changed the game just a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm looking at like the Dwellers Below, level 6 spell. Every model in the target unit must pass a strength test or be slain with no saves except for magic resistance.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Magic resistance is actually important now. But it's weird that it doesn't say ward saves. Interesting.
Yeah.
There you go.
Want to talk about saves?
Okay. Go for it.
Yeah, so ward saves, if you have 2 things that give you a ward save, they stack to a maximum of a 4-up. So you can't get any more 3-up ward saves anymore.
Phoenix Guard.
Rip those Phoenix Guard with high magic. That's cool. Obviously, like your parry contributes to your ward save. So say you have like a 5-up ward, and then you're also parry. You get a 4-up ward save now against if the attack's coming from your front. Things like elves have dodge, which is basically an innate parry. So they always have a 6-up in close combat. That's been pretty cool. Like running like White Lions the other day when Bowie and I were playing, because they have like they have all the like new rules where you can take like different stances and stuff within the army books. But there's one that gives them a 6-up parry plus that dodge. So you're basically running White Lions with a 5-up ward,
right?
Which is cool.
And there's still things that obviously could get rid of parry saves or get rid of dodge. It just depends on like initiatives and strength of the stuff, all that kind of good stuff.
Oh yeah, and if you're hitting from the side, like facing really matters now when it didn't. Apart from just like what you can see.
So magic resistance is pretty cool. It doesn't stack anymore like it used to. It's now just the highest one of the unit. But what let's see. Oh, if I have a character and he has MR2, then and it's a magic user, I get an additional +2 to dispel on top of all my other bonuses if you target that unit. So if you shoot a magic missile at me and I dispel and I'm like a level 1, so I get +1 normally, but I'm MR2, I get +3 to dispel it.
It's kind of like 6th and 7th, but instead of giving you the power, the dispel dice, you just get the plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes magic resistance way better.
Yes, magic resistance was pretty relevant right now.
Sounds good. That's good if you're a dwarf player.
Yes. I don't know. Do they have MR across the board?
Runesmiths, man. Well, Runesmiths and Runelords, I know, used to.
They still get MR, like a Runesmith for sure. I don't know if it's board wide anymore. They did lose the dwarves lost having to roll to see if they hate you. They just only hate certain. It's like goblins. I don't think it's elves and maybe Skaven. They just automatically hate those. They don't have to roll to see, so they can't get hatred against like Warriors of Chaos or something. Just for they don't have to roll that.
Dwarves also have a magic phase now because they have so much bound spells. They can actually do stuff with it.
So is there anything else magic related we want to talk about? Because I really want to talk about movement.
Maybe magic items. I don't know if you want to talk about scrolls. Scrolls. I'll just say that real quick. So scrolls are not a instant dispel. You just get free. You just get 6 dice to throw at the spell to dispel it. So it's not just an auto gone, which is cool. But that was it.
Kind of weird that was the only thing that was instant, like was assured in the whole game. It just always happened. It's like, why dispel scrolls? But now that it all fits together a little bit more, I think.
I mean, I think that the changes to magic in many ways have been like a revelation because they're just like these are huge changes that I think really like because the game was so dominated by magic. I felt like I think looking at all the lists I've ever dealt with, there's always a level 4 running around somewhere. But after playing around with the combat, close combat boards, I didn't feel as punished for not bringing the level 4 as I had in the past.
Yep. So you could just take like a level 1, level 2 with some defensive magic items and take a combat lord, and you're good to go.
Because I think taking the level 4 was always the optimized. I mean, I didn't play much 8th edition tournaments, but I felt it was always the optimized list.
Oh yeah. What do you want to know about magic movement?
Well, I want to talk about charges first because those have changed drastically, right?
Oh yeah.
You no longer get your distance plus 2d6 or 3d6 with Swift Stride. Pick the two highest. Now you get your movement plus 1d6, right?
If you're infantry. Right.
If you're infantry. Do you roll 2 and pick the highest, or just
yes?
Two pick the highest, yeah.
Yeah, and then with Swift Stride, you roll 3d6, pick the two highest, or you get all three of them.
It's 2d6, pick the two highest. So they changed Swift Stride a little bit. If you are movement 4, but you have Swift Stride, you get 2d6 and you pick them. You use both the dice. But if you have movement 7 or higher with Swift Stride, that's when you get the 3d6, pick the two highest.
Got it.
So cavalry, stuff like that. If you could just be like a light armored trooper, you get pretty much the full movement. So dwarves are only charging 9 inches ever, unless you have some bonus charge magic item or banner or something.
I love it. I think it's good for the game. I like that it makes the board longer.
Yes.
So I'm a big fan of that. Did they change fast cav rolls at all? So they're not good.
They only get 1 pivot during the movement, and that's it. Oh, sorry, 1 reform during the movement.
They get 1 before they move and then 1 after they move.
So that they can start the turn off essentially pointing in any direction.
Yes.
And then they can move.
They have to keep that formation.
For their movement as they pivot, though.
Yes.
And then at the end, they can face in any direction. Is
correct?
Okay.
Right. So you can still only go your max movement value. So let's say if you're like 5 wide and then you reform to be 1 wide, like just a column, that counts against the movement. And then you can move and snake, but you can't really snake anymore. You'd have to you just can't snake anymore. And then you get 1 reform at the end.
Okay. So it is much less effective than it was previously.
Yes, but they're still very good. Very good. That extra charge is.
There's always going to be space in the game for fast units. Good. What about any other major changes to movement? I assume marching is still the same.
Marching still the same.
Our swift reform still the same.
I believe so. I think the big one we touched on was really the charges. But I think for the most part, the rest of the movement phase more or less was the same. It's just the charges themselves dramatically got reworked, which I think, again, like you said, reduce the size of the board, make infantry no longer these hey, long bomb. Hey, I just need 2 dice to get maybe a 17-inch charge with these elves.
You still fail forward your failed charges in the same way?
2D is the combination dice now. So it's both dice, not necessarily.
It is? Both. It is? I didn't know that. Okay, that's new.
Yeah.
I might have messed that up then.
So instead of failing forward the highest on your D6 roll, you fail forward
the combination.
Your 2D6 roll minus. Or not minus, but you excluding your movement.
Yeah.
You move forward 2d6 random inches.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so if you're infantry, it says if a unit makes a failed charge and moves directly toward the target, a distance rolled equal to the charge roll, i.e. if the dice showed a 2 and a 5, you just move 5. So it is still pick the highest.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, because it says if you roll 2 dice, one's a 2, one's a 5, you only go 5.
Do we know how to play this game? What's going on?
I'm telling you, it's a new game. Everything's up in the air right now. Most things are pretty similar, wheeling and line of sight. Actually, line of sight's very different now. Never mind.
You're right. Yep. No, I read that wrong. You're right.
Okay. So movement is largely unaffected except for the way fast cav and charges work. What about combat and the way that units are formed? I know we talked about ranks and files, but combat, steadfast, horde formation, special rules that have changed dramatically. Let's talk about those types of things.
So I think right off the bat, I think initiative is so much different now. And I think I really say it because I'm used to playing with and against elves. Thank you, Peter. But also the elves dominated like the high-end tables for the longest time, so everyone was rocking elf armor with always strike first. So getting rid of that and reworking that, and then having basically who charged what affection initiative makes combat way more dynamic and interesting than it just used to be. Oh, my number's bigger than your number, so I'm going to punch first. You know.
Right. So just on movement, real quick, chariots can march now.
Oh,
no. Yes, you can now march.
It's a miracle.
Inches. I know, which is awesome. It's very cool. But they still have to pivot like every other unit, so they don't get that free pivot. They have to wheel like everybody. But as Bowie said, initiative is huge because when you charge, you get +1 to your initiative, like across the board. Anything does. Elves lost always strike first, but in lances with like +2 initiative on the charge, spears if you get charged by something that's I think it's monster, cavalry, and some other big stuff, you get initiative bonuses with the spear, with the pike, which makes sense because obviously they're charging into that.
A strength bonus if you get charged.
And a strength bonus if you get charged by that. Steadfast is gone in terms of ranks. If I have more ranks than you, I'm steadfast. That is totally gone. It's all about unit strength, which they brought back from older editions. So if I have a unit of 20, let's say after combat is all done, if I have a unit of 20 and you have a unit of 25, but I won combat, you have higher unit strength than me still, so you're steadfast. Now, if it was the opposite, and even though let's say you had more ranks for some weird reason, I don't get that anymore. Steadfast is gone in that turn. No more horde bonus either, so you can be 10 wide, but you don't get that extra rank of attacks.
Yeah, but you have to be 10 deep to have a 10 wide frontage, right?
Yes.
That's
No.
You can be opposite.
Flip.
So you can be 10 wide and 4 deep if you wanted to, but you couldn't be 5 wide and 10 deep. So let's say 10 by...
That's good.
Yeah, 10 by 5 is good, 10 by 6 is good, 10 by 2 is good. So you can have like 20 crossbows or whatever in 10 by 2. You just couldn't do 5 by 7 or 5 by 9 or 5 by 12. You have to be, which is huge. So there's no Skaven buses, there's no like skeleton or zombie buses, none of that stuff anymore. Not legal. You can still do your 10 by 10 clan rats with the bell if you wanted to. Still legal. You can still run that. But you can also get disrupted pretty easily. Disruption is pretty big.
You're not only steadfast if you get disrupted. So
yes,
that's huge.
So let's start at the beginning of the combat phase. So are impact hits the same? Like did they change the way monsters get into combat?
All cavalry have impact hit 1 now. Monsters still have, depending on which monster, I don't know if it's across the board, but a lot of them get impact hits now, and it's still start of the combat before anything else happens. Challenges still happen right after that. You can still get over.
Are challenges still the same in effect?
In effect,
they no longer
block off models from attacking, right?
Okay.
But in effect, they're the same. In effect, they're the same. And then it's just straight down to initiative and strength and all that good stuff.
Got it. So units are the ways that you calculate combat resolutions different now because unit strength is a thing?
It's huge.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Go ahead. Someone else say that. That's a lot.
So it's the same unit strength as 7th edition, like, infantry 1, cavalry 2, big things 3 plus, whatever it is. Monsters, it's like their starting wound total is their unit strength for the game. Like outnumbering is back as a part of combat res. So if you outnumber in terms of unit strength, you get the extra +1 there. You need to have
2 to 1 though.
2 to 1.
Right.
For flanking, for disrupting, it's all about unit strength. I think, is it 2 to 1 or just use higher unit strength?
It's 10.
You just have to have 10.
At least
on that flank. Yeah, so you don't. So like it used to be that you charge chariots to the side, the unit strength 4. But they would never disrupt. But if you charge 3 chariots to someone's flank, boom, you're disrupting now.
Or even just 5 cavalry. If you just charge 5 cavalry into flank of your 100-man like Ratman unit, if I win combat and you don't kill any of my dudes and I still have unit strength 10, you're not steadfast.
Yeah.
So flanks are huge.
So it used to be you had to have 2 ranks, period, to disrupt. Now you just have to have unit strength 10.
Yes. What else? So you get, okay, so for combat res, it's still wounds. You get +1 for each unit that charged, not just 1. It's every single unit that charged. It's still a maximum of 3 ranks for extra ranks. What else?
Two banners?
Nope, there's no limit on banners. It's every single banner that's in that combat gets it.
Plus BSB?
Plus BSB. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So if you're hitting, I think actually,
what flanks and rears, I assume, are unchanged?
Yeah,
Charging
+1,
down the hill.
+2. Yeah, I think charging down the hill is also the same. The one rule that rarely comes up, I feel.
no,
like.
they got rid of that. Actually,
Wait, what?
Yeah, they got rid of the charging downhill. I didn't like that. What they now have is if you have the higher ground, you get +1.
Over Anakin, I have the higher ground.
That's what it is. Don't try it.
You
doubt my power.
We need to petition to put the downhill charge back in.
I really think so. It's just a cool.
When have you ever downhill charged though?
I mean, it depends on if you
happens.
play with
It
hill
happens.
snot.
Little round top.
It happens all the time for Blue and I.
It does. It does. Where is? I thought you get extra ranks if you're in different flanks. Hold on. Blah blah blah. Extra 5 ranks. No. Okay.
All right. So in summary, you get a point per charging unit.
Mhm.
You get your wounds.
Yes.
Overkill to a maximum of 5. 1 per banner and BSB in the combat.
Mhm.
Up to 3 for ranks. 1 in flanks, 2 in rears. Do those stack if you have multiple flank charges?
If you're on the other, so if you're on opposite flanks, each one gets a flank.
Okay, so you can get up to 2 for flank charges and 2 more for a rear.
Rear. Yep.
Outnumber is 1.
Yep. If you're
numbering based on unit strength. Or,
yes. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Overkill is only up to +3, not +5.
It's kind of nice.
Overkill's 3 now.
Up to
Okay.
+3, yeah.
Okay. And is that everything? Did I miss anything?
Looking at the list here, I think that's all like
think it's
combat.
High ground.
In high ground.
The Anakin roll, got it.
The
Yeah, that's
Anakin. The Anakin.
Okay. So once you win combat by whatever, if the loser has higher unit strength than the winner, the loser is still steadfast in the traditional manner.
Correct.
Okay.
Unless they are disrupted.
Unless they're disrupted, which takes unit strength 10.
And steadfast only
And
applies
rank.
to your base. Oh, pardon?
Don't you need a rank for steadfast or to disrupt as well? I think you need at least like 1 full rank and unit strength 10. I think.
Nope. It's
Nope,
just
okay.
unit strength 10.
I'm wrong.
And when it comes to a steadfast, it only goes to your base leadership skill of the unit. So not the leadership of, your general or anyone else.
Really?
So
Yeah.
So is it unmodified or modified? Like if I'm a Skaven leadership 5, do I get the +3 for the ranks?
Not when you're disrupted. Disrupted gets rid of your rank bonus and steadfast.
But that's not a rank bonus or steadfast.
Oh, you're talking about adding
I'm
to
talking
your
about the leadership modifier.
It says steadfast units always take great tests on their own leadership characteristic, ignoring any negative close combat resolution modifiers.
Okay, but so if the general's in the unit, you probably still get the general's leadership as long as they're in the fight.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
Right.
like to me.
Yeah, if they're in the unit, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but you don't get the inspiring presence, and
You would still get the BSB, I would assume.
Yeah. The BSB actually has changed dramatically, as I found out last night. My friend played with his stupidity unit of juggernauts. And apparently
go on. I'm
BS
intrigued.
BSB doesn't apply to stupidity rolls anymore.
To the what
Wait,
rolls?
really?
Yeah,
To the what rolls?
stupidity.
That makes sense.
And so as I watched it last night, my poor friend failed roll 11s 4 times in a row. I'm like, oh, okay.
So for 4 turns, that unit did nothing.
It was like 500 points. His general was in it. His BSB was in it. It was like juggernauts, and I just watched as I killed the rest of his army, and I just ignored that unit. And he was like, "Oh, okay."
Stupidity's actually gonna do something.
Spoiler alert: that might have happened in the game that I played against David a couple days ago. You will have to wait and see.
So other than that, has the role of the BSB changed at all? Like, does still gives a 12-inch aura reroll leadership except for stupidity?
Yeah, it says panic test and break test, but that's the things it affects.
Oh, so just panic and break.
Mm-hmm.
So
let me read to confirm, but yeah.
Okay. So it's not all leadership tests now. That means it doesn't work on Primal Fury. That sucks. Well, I'm not playing the Beastman anymore.
What? Come on. You can take multiple marks. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
I feel as they got better though as they went to WAP. I feel as though everybody got like, I think the community gave so much feedback, you know?
Yeah, I think that they invariably got better.
So there's one part of combat we haven't covered, and that's getting caught, like run down. That has changed in a pretty cool way. So if let's say my unit of 20 is actually fleeing from the unit of cavalry. So here, let me read this to you. If the victorious unit pursue roll is equal to or greater, they destroy them where they stand. If the pursuing unit has unit strength 10 or higher, you still remove everything as like the whole unit's gone. But if it has less than unit strength 10, the fleeing unit only suffers 1 wound with no save of any kind for each point of unit strength the pursuing unit has. So if I have like a unit, if I have a monster that's only unit strength 6, and I pursue a unit and I catch them on the dice roll, that unit only takes 6 wounds with no armor saves. You don't wipe out the whole block of infantry, if that makes sense.
Good. I like that.
Yeah.
That prevents like those crazy situations where like 5 Noblars run down 500 points of whatever.
Right.
Yes, if that ever happens, I feel so bad for that other player.
I remember the first game of fantasy I ever watched was Bowie playing a guy who was playing Warriors of Chaos, and this was the 7th, and his source getting run down by Warhounds.
That's so sad.
God, yeah, I remember that.
Wow, this game's brutal.
Is Pursuit still the same? You pursue 2d6 or 3d6, or is it similar to the way you charge?
It's different. So it's what it used to be. It's like 8th edition. So even if you're infantry, you still flee 2d6. It's not 2d6 pick the highest. So it's still 2d6. Same with Swift Stride, 3d6 pick the 2 highest.
Okay. So do we feel like that has pretty well covered the major changes to combat?
I think so.
All right. Then I want to talk about shooting, because this is probably where the biggest changes in the game are, with the exception of magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it scratches 2 of my itches. 1 addresses cannons and war machines, right?
Huge.
In a much different way. And 2 actually makes shooting viable outside of gun lines.
All day.
So let's talk about that. Walk me through what some of those biggest changes are.
Peter, go.
Yeah, like I hinted at earlier, they removed the -1 to hit for long range. There's no more long range penalty. Archers now, if you have a bow, you can fire 2 shots if you stand still in 2 ranks, but you get the multi-shot penalty, which I think it's probably better to throw more dice in most situations.
Right. Let me clarify one thing. So you could have a unit that's 5 by 5 with bows, and the entire unit can volley fire. It's just the entire unit is at -1 to hit. So you don't have. It's not just 2 ranks anymore. You could have a 10 by 10 block of archers, and if you volley fire, all of them are at -1 to hit, but they all get to shoot.
Well, is it volley fire in that everybody gets to shoot, or every rank after the first 2 is firing at half strength?
Nope, the entire yeah. There's no the old volley fire was like half the rank as it went down. Nope, it's the entire unit gets to shoot, just if everyone's at -1. And you can only volley fire if you stand still. I think that's right. Or
Yeah,
multi-shot,
yeah,
multi-shot if you stand still.
Yeah, bows can only fire 2 rounds if you stand still. Then obviously war machines changed dramatically. Cannons now actually scatter on the bounce.
No, on the target.
On the target, yeah. I'm thinking about the. So you basically you roll scatter dice plus artillery dice, and it scatters half of the artillery dice.
So, you pick the point where you're going to aim, like you used to, and then you scatter half an artillery die.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And then you do your bounce after that.
In what direction? In a straight line from the cannon, from the way it was fired?
Yep.
Okay. Is it still, if it makes contact, is it still strength 10 d6 wounds?
Yes. If you hit without a bounce, it's strength 10 d6 wounds. If you hit after the bounce, it's d3 wounds.
Still strength 10.
Strength 10, just d3 wounds. So it makes monsters a little bit more survivable.
Unless you're a great cannon from Empire, even on the bounce, they keep the d6 wounds.
Really?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna take great cannons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Grape Shot also got better. You roll an additional d6 plus the artillery die for number of shots. I've been having a great time firing canister at people.
You would get 16 hits or shots.
I've been rolling 16 hits every time I've been firing Grape Shot. It's awesome.
Freaking brutal, man.
And then you have an engineer there or something. It's like
roll it. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
So cannons got worse, I think, on the long shot, but they're better close up. It's like,
yeah,
that's good. I like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is the misfire chart changed, or are they're generally the same?
Yeah, I think so. Blackfire is at least the same. Mm-hmm. And then I think for stone throwers, it's essentially the same.
Yeah, I don't think they changed at all.
But in the army books themselves, some of the stone throwers changed a bit. I know a Brett Trebuchet is no longer it's strength 10 under the hull, but then strength 4 now for the rest of the template, where it used to be strength 5. So now it's absolutely broken anymore.
I think mortars actually went up to strength 3 on the small.
Yes, or I think they're big now though.
Yeah, it's a large blast.
They're still large, but now they're strength 3, no longer strength 2.
Yeah, so against anything T3 or lower, mortars are amazing. Because here's 25 hits and I only need 4s to wound now instead of 5s. An extra 17 wounds. It's really good.
But
and they're armor piercing.
Yeah, but now that everything has a little bit higher armor saves across the board, it kind of evens out there.
So we weren't sure if when, let's say you're shot by a mortar and obviously let's say I'm in the front rank and the center of the blast hits behind me. Do I get the additional +1 with my shield? We counted as if we did because it doesn't make a lot of sense. Obviously, if the blast hits behind me, shouldn't get it, but we just counted as if it did because I think it would be too nasty if you didn't. So we just said yes.
Well, conveniently, Blue, we have the ability to ask the rules writer.
Yes, we do.
Not have to send snail mail to Jervis Johnson anymore.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure he listens to this podcast. I don't think he'll appreciate that.
With Jervis?
What else? Artillery, they can only spin 45 degrees and you have to spin them in the movement phase. So no more 360 spinning when you're shooting. So they can only spin 45 and then they still have the 45-degree arc. Right. So you effectively get a 90-degree change. But if you end up behind them, they can't shoot you that turn. Mm-hmm. Ambushers are pretty good now. A lot of armies have ambushers. What else about shooting? Shooting in the flank. So if I have a unit here and they're facing this way, if I'm within 4 inches, you get to shoot into combat, which is awesome. But any roll of a 1 you roll to hit, you hit your own unit. So it kind of counteracts that. And if you're within 4 inches ever, you get +1 to hit. So if you have
thing. I don't know why that was never the case. Mm-hmm. It's you're penalized for long range, but you didn't get a bonus for being close. It's they just hated missile units.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Quick to fire is pretty cool. You no longer suffer from moving and shooting, which I don't think you did in the old edition. But now, if you have a pistol or a quick to fire throwing axe, while you're charging in, you get to shoot or throw your axe as you're running into combat.
Well, that makes a lot more sense why all of my gores now have throwing weapons.
Oh, do they? Did they come with them?
Oh, that's pretty good.
No, I think I have to buy them.
Okay. But really cool. It's like you shoot your pistol into combat and you turn around and use the butt of it. You know, something like that. It's pretty cool. What else?
That reminds me, Blue, do you have any extra pistoliers you're looking to get rid of?
I do have some. I have some new on sprue that I do not need. You are not welcome to them. So, no, that's fine. What else for shooting? That covered bows. Most handguns are still move or fire. Long rifles are still good again because, like the Hawkland long rifle, you're hitting on 3s if you don't use the sniper rule. So you're just like just messing up stuff.
What about the way poison interacts with shooting? Did that get fixed?
Yes, poison's way different now.
It's just +1 to wound.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no longer 6s are automatically wounding like giants or steam tanks or something.
It's so annoying.
My skinks are crying and shedding a tear because of that.
Yep. Blowpipe, can't do that blowpipe spam anymore. Bad buoy. Yeah.
But, you know, it does make poison on like champions and heroes and lords and stuff like make way more sense because now it's like, oh yeah, I get +1 to wound. That's awesome though.
Yeah. Inflammable is no longer 2 wounds. It's just you get to re-roll the wound. So
it's more helpful.
I think it got downgraded.
Most flammable. What?
I think it got downgraded because I would rather.
I completely disagree because most things that are flammable are single wound.
What else?
So
Freemen, but
treemen and treekin.
Yeah.
Aren't dryads flammable?
They are flammable, but they're also one wound.
Tomb Guard flammable?
I don't know if dryads are, but I know. Tomb Guard, I guess.
Yeah. So what's the point under 8th edition of having flammable on 1 wound models?
No, I meant because you could like flame a treekin or a tree man, and you're doing double wounds to them for every wound you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was gross.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is now it makes more sense across the board.
Yeah.
Because there are models that exist in the Warhammer world, at least in 8th edition, that are single wound flammable.
Right.
So it made no sense for them to have the flammable rule back then.
That's shooting.
Also, ice attacks now.
Ooh, ice attacks are cool. What do they do, Billy?
I have no idea. I just saw them in the room.
I
don't play this game. Okay, right.
Aren't there lightning attacks too?
There are lightning attacks. Yeah, I think that means no armor saves versus lightning attacks. But ice attacks, if you're in base contact with me, you are always strike last.
You are now a Phoenix, a Frostheart Phoenix.
Pretty much. Yep. Like Yetis from Ogre Kingdoms have always strike. They have that rule. So do not the Stonehorn, but the Thunder Tusk. Yeah. So you're always strike last in close combat versus him. Yeah.
Well, what about has any special rules or psychology changed at all? Like, did fear or terror change? Like, are they actually rules now that you need to take into consideration?
Yes. So
like
fear gives you -1 to your leadership if you're in combat with it.
Okay.
So even if you're steadfast, unless you're immune to psychology, of course.
Right. And then
I keep forgetting that.
And the terror is still the same deal. Where if you get charged, you gotta do a leadership test to stick gun through, or else you're gonna run away.
At -2.
Yeah, but you're at -2 to stay around in close combat, not just -1.
So it's actually a thing now. You got to be afraid of. You got to be afraid.
Yeah.
Fear or terror.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I don't think you take if I'm taking a terror, if someone's charging me and they have terror, I don't think you get the -2 on the terror check to run away. I think that's only if in close combat, if I'm correct.
Oh no, it says here that a model cause a terror test also cause fear with -2 penalty and then run for your lives. You must also pass that check as well. Oh yeah. No, you're right.
Okay. But still, if you're like thinking, oh, I'm going to be steadfast 9 versus this terror causing thing because I'm going to have more unit strength in it at the end of combat, you're going to be at -2 unless you're ITP. Which is pretty big because you're like rolling leadership 7. I mean, 50-50. So
yeah,
is like frenzy and hatred and stubborn. Any changes with any of those?
Those are all basically the same as far as I can tell. Let's see, other special rules. I don't know. You want to talk about magic items?
Sure. Oh,
Yeah,
animated construct is good. You're now immune to poison, so like the Tomb King big stuff can't be poisoned
Finally.
by like blowpipes.
That was also pretty funny.
Are there any special rules that monsters get? Like anything with the monster keyword? Like anything that makes them viable?
Stomp. There is no Thunder Stomp anymore. Only monsters have Stomp.
Okay. It's D6.
It's still the same thing. Yeah, D6 at always strike last. I think you're like the combination of characters and like characters riding monsters.
Oh,
that's
big,
a pretty big. That's a very substantial change. Y'all can get into that. But then breath weapons are cool too. Not only it's no longer one use only. On a 4-up, you get to actually use it again. I think in the next turn, so you can potentially have like. Fly dragon breathe, you know, which is cool.
Yeah, like with the characters, you're like, say you're riding a Star Dragon or something, or High Elf on a Star Dragon, you got heavy armor or something. That combines with the 3-up, what's it, natural armor on the Star Dragon to give you a 1-up. So you combine like monster armor with your character armor, but you always fail your armor saves if you're something like that on a 1 or 2.
Okay.
So you can have that like 1-up for the purposes of determining like what like an armor piercing weapon's doing to you, but no matter what, you're always going to fail on a 1 or a 2 before your armor saves.
And is that specific to mounted monsters?
Yes.
Okay. So if I'm a hero on foot and I somehow get a 1-up save, a 1 always fails, but a 2 does.
Yeah, this is only in the case of mounted monsters.
And you combine your profiles pretty much now. You no longer you can't target one or the other in close combat. You just hit the model. So you can't try and slay the dragon out from underneath. The ward save of the character is also the ward save of the dragon. It's a combined profile.
I think that's the only something about. I saw something about how the like equipment doesn't impact the mount. So I guess the ward saves.
Is that a thing? Really?
Yeah, it's something, but it might be like I don't know. Like if you had like you can't use like the speculum on. I don't know. I might be wrong.
We can see.
Yeah, I don't have it open in front of me, so I'll let you guys look it up.
Yeah, I will look that up. That seems pretty important.
So to summarize the new monster and rider kind of thing. In combat and against shooting, the armor save of the rider and the mount are combined.
Yes.
Though 1 and 2 always fail.
Yes.
You can no longer attack either the mount or the rider individually. Do you still randomize hits and shooting?
No. So now you use the combined. The conceptualized is being basically cavalry plus. You use the highest wound total between either the monster or the character as the total for the entire unit.
Okay, so if I'm an elf on a Star Dragon,
yes,
elf is now toughness 7 in combat.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh my
God!
Wow!
7 wounds or 6 wounds, 7 wounds.
Star Dragon 7.
7, baby. It's 7. Oh man, 7 toughness, 7 wounds.
You got something for me? Am I gonna fight in a dragon?
I mean, I might actually have a reason to use them now.
Yep.
Okay.
Dragons are good again.
And then they're the unit strength of their wounds for monsters. You said so.
Other starting wounds. Yeah.
7.
Yeah. Right. Armor saves are combined. I don't see anything about ward saves not carrying over. It just talks about the difference in armor saves. Character mount. I think the ward save is now the actual save in total. So you can get the hero, the character on the dragon plus the dragon itself or whatever has the ward save of pretty much whatever magic item the character takes.
Wow.
Kind of on that point, some things I've noticed they've brought back, like immunopsychology is now written as like immunity parentheses psychology. For some things like dragon armor now, it's just immunity flaming attacks. So there's no more of that 2-up ward against it. It's just you can't be hurt by how it used to be in 7th, I think. You just can't be hurt by those attacks. Like remember we were playing yesterday, Bowie, and I had like my BSB and dragon armor, and it was going up against what are the flaming things the Chaos Dwarves have, the oversized ones.
Yeah, the Kadim Fire. Kadim Fireborn.
And it's like you can't do anything to it. It's just straight up immune.
Right.
So real quick, unit strength of a ridden monster is equal to the number of wounds plus the number of riders. So the unit strength of a Star Dragon is actually 8.
Wow.
Unless you are Nystra and Arahan.
Yes, then it would go 9.
Well, no, because they probably only have 6 wounds in that dragon.
That's true. Good point. Yeah, that's
Right.
probably 8.
Take it on to now unit strength 10 because of 5 base plus the 5 crew. Oh, so snap! They can like totally disrupt someone. That's hilarious.
What was that? What was?
Stegodons.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That seems pretty good.
Well, you're gonna take one of them.
Okay, that's true. That's at least manageable.
Stegotards.
Unit strength is pretty big in terms of also line of sight. So shooting a line of sight is pretty different now. If I have an infantry of 5 in front of my infantry of 5 and the back one are shooters, if it's it's not true line of sight anymore. That is completely gone. It's all about unit strength. So infantry have unit strength 1. So let me change what I said. If I have a unit that is 10 wide in front of a unit of shooters that are 5 wide, the unit behind cannot see through or over the unit that's in front of them unless they can draw a line of sight from their base to another base way over here. You can't shoot over them unless you're on a hill or something like that, because even terrain adds to your unit strength.
What if the unit in front of you is a skirmisher? I guess then you can draw a straight line, right?
Yeah, so you can. Yes, exactly. You can draw a line from base to base. But let's say if you have a unit of infantry and then a unit of cavalry is behind them and you want to shoot at the cavalry, you can do that because it's double the unit strength, but they get cover. But if I had like a swordsman and then an ogre, since it's more than double the unit strength, the ogre doesn't get cover from that swordsman, if I remember correctly. And then you can still shoot them even if you can't see their base.
One touch on skirmishers also, how they can do that cool thing, like they can screen units, and like can't they like fall back like around units now? Like they can do some cool stuff.
So if you have a unit of like an infantry here and you have skirmishers here and they get charged and the skirmishers flee through your own unit, it doesn't cause a panic on your block of infantry anymore, which makes sense because your skirmishers, that's what they're supposed to do, is like whittle away the enemy, then get behind the anvil and just sit there.
Right.
What else? And I don't know if they automatically rally. That might just be fast cav that rallies like that. But one of them can actually auto rally after fleeing from the charge, which is pretty cool. Fast cav. Oh, another cool thing is they can actually shoot their weapons and then flee, but then they're only going 2d6 instead of 3d6. Pick the highest. So that's a cool little change too. I have to run to the bathroom, so.
All right. Well, Peter, let's talk about magic weapons because or magic items in general. You've been trying to get to this topic for a little while now.
Let me pull them up actually real quick.
Enlighten me. They
added some new ones. They changed a couple things. What I really like though is they have a supplement for magic items. Let me bring it. They added a whole supplement for this edition of the game where they bring back like all the magic items that were in like 7th edition, and they brought them back into this that you can add in there. So like you remember how the High Elf book in 7th had like an insane number of magic items? They're all back. So some are like a little scary. Like I took like but some have been changed. Like remember the vortex shard, which just would shut down the magic phase. Like you just didn't have a magic phase. Now it's like you lose D6 power dice.
Okay.
So things like that. Like they bring them back with like the same idea, but just a little less completely broken.
So are they implemented into the individual army books, I assume?
Yeah, so your army books are it's the same where you have like, fewer than 10 or so specific to the army. Then you have a bunch in the big rule book, like we used to have in 8th. And then there's a magic item supplement on top of all that. which brings back a lot of those older ones with newer rules. So it's just like I love being able to pick from all the different magic items and do stuff. Like I'm running. Yeah,
it makes sense. Like the magic items wouldn't cease to exist edition to edition, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like they don't just disappear.
Yeah, and I think it's like, some stuff you're never going to have complete balance with magic items, but I think it's kind of also what makes fantasy fun is that you have like these crazy like magic items you can take, and especially now that you're not supposed to have open lists. It says that in the book when you're about to fight a battle that it's not open, so you can really pull some stuff on people.
Oh my god!
It's going to present some challenges when we film bat reps now.
Oh yeah. So
it's all right. Everybody will be as surprised as our opponents.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the whole open and closed list debate. I always feel the open list just make a more interesting environment because you can plan, but there are a lot of items that require you to like surprise someone with it. So
yeah,
surprise vortex charge.
Yeah, right.
Closed lists do have they do kind of open the door for a gotcha moment.
Well, I think wasn't that kind of part of like the original how like Warhammer got started is going back to like the RPG elements where you'd have a referee, kind of like that more simulation kind of aspect where you don't know what's ahead of you. Like you'd have to make like rolls to see what's on the board. So that kind of harkens back to like an older kind of real like war gamey.
The Kriegspiel back in the day. Yeah.
Kriegspiel, but with orcs.
I had that happen to me. So we played against I played against David a couple days ago, and we told each other some of the items, but I didn't realize we didn't tell each other everything. So I got pretty surprised on one thing, and that changed the whole flank. It was pretty cool, but I was just not expecting it. Good times.
Yeah, I guess if we all walk into the game expecting that people are going to pull crazy shit on us, then everyone's like, okay, well, where's the weirdness happening today,
Yes.
Yeah.
Did y'all talk about scrolls? And like there's everything is changed.
The power destruction scroll?
Destroy magic spell.
Oh my god.
Empire is now dwarves. They have a 15-point magic item that deletes a spell on a 4-up.
Wow. Dark elves have that too. Dark elves have that.
I guess everyone has it.
Do we have it? I don't remember.
Dark elves do. Yep.
Oh, shit, okay.
It's I took it. I can't remember what it's called. It's only 15 points though. So you can take the destroy magic scroll and that item, and that's your 50 points for your so that's two defensive magic items. And if that's all you want, that's all I did. I had a level 2 with those 2 destroy spell items, and that was it.
So let's start at the top with these magic items. Has the magic items, magic armor, enchanted, arcane,
Talisman.
kind of talisman, like have those limitations changed at all? Or are you still...
You mean just like one of each? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take one.
Like, do items still fall into one of those categories? You want to take one of each category?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
they've changed pretty good. Some of them changed pretty. A lot of the points have gone down. Like the talisman, the sword of might, I think is only 10 points now, or 15 points instead of 20.
Gone down.
A lot of items have gone down.
Armor saves have gone up, so that's going to decrease in cost. I think they've added a couple things too. Like a couple, in the big rule book, they've added a couple new magic items. I think the fortress is still there.
Oh, Fosric's folding fortress or something.
That was there's a guy at our old store who would run a gunline Empire army back in the beginning, and he took that magic item. He's the only person I've ever seen take it because he just stuck his general and his core brick he brought in there for the entire game, and it's just then just shot you with stuff. It's like, we're playing a game here, or are we just gonna have you roll artillery dice for 2 hours?
You used to see that with nasty high elf lists. You would put Techless in it, and he would just be slinging spells from the tower, just murdering stuff. It was good times. What else for magic items?
and any major changes to kind of the big rulebook magic items that are of note?
Let me check. Let me bring it up.
Is there still going to be
the discipline,
preservation, and
preservation,
and every game, and
Yeah, well,
Crown of Command and
that's 40
Armor
points
of
now.
Destiny.
That's
40 what?
points. It's went up by 5 points.
Oh my gosh.
No, that's good.
30
that means
points.
you can't make your general or whoever as defensive or powerful, because that 5 points changed a lot in terms of like that 100 max point allotment. So it did change a good bit.
Oh, you can only take magic armor if your model can take the particular armor in question.
Yes.
That's a big one as well.
Yeah.
So if your character can take max of medium armor, he can only take magical armor that's medium or light. You can't take heavy. You can't take Armor of Destiny, for example.
Got it. So you couldn't have a Empire Wizard with like glittering scales.
Yeah.
Right. Or you can't have like a Wood Elf Captain take Armor of Destiny, for example.
Right.
Okay.
That's pretty big, because that means you can't take 2 4-up wards.
Yeah, unless you're like Warriors of Chaos or Empire could. Empire could.
Yeah, I'm talking specifically about Wood Elves.
Yeah. Oh, Wood Elves, they can't even get. I don't even think their characters can take medium armor. They're only with light armor. So Wood Elf characters are even squishier than what they used to be.
Yeah.
Which is mind-boggling. But they can still take the old from 5th and 6th edition, the nettlings. It's like the little sprites that you can take to like get. It's like extra. It's kind of like magic items, but it's specific just for Wood Elves.
Yeah, I'm looking here at the magic standards. They've got some cool ones I'd consider taking, but they're like the battle banners. It's like a 70-point one, so these are obviously for a BSB. But it's like plus D6 to combat res, banner of might, 55 points, +1 to hit in the first round of combat. Some kind of cool things. Like I felt like the big rulebook banners were kind of lackluster in 8th. You really had to go into the army books, but this one has there's a lot more in here. And
I like the Rampagers standard. It now lets you re-roll your charge distance, which is pretty good when you charge so like much less for like infantry.
So it's basically a skill standard.
Yeah, exactly. Or the I can't remember the other one, but it's 50 points, but it gives your unit stubborn. So it's pretty good. Right?
So
What's it?
That's going to be an auto include.
Yeah, pretty much. If
Banner
you have
of
a
Defiance,
yeah, Defiance, that's it. There's some cool ones like the one of Courage. I think that lets you reroll break tests. So you could have like your BSB way over here and your reroll break test one, on the flank somewhere, and still kind of gets a reroll for breaks.
Can you? This is going back in time a little bit, but can you still not attack individual command models in a unit?
Only the champion, because he has a separate profile.
Only the champion.
Yeah.
You can do that? Okay.
Yeah. Learned that in the tournament.
So you can.
No, I mean now.
Oh, now? No.
Ooh.
That's a good question. I thought you were talking about 8th, sorry.
So it sounds like you can take any unit that has access to a 50-point magic banner and make them stubborn, and you can't do anything about it. That
correct.
Yikes.
No, who can take?
And you have, on top of that, you have access to a 40-point Crown of Command.
Yeah.
So that's the caveat then. The question is who or what models can take a 50-point magic item to make them stubborn?
It's pretty much most special units can take a 50-point. Like, special like Tomb Kings, Tomb Guard, or big Chosen or something like that. Even some core units can take a 50-point banner. It's just rare. So
that's my thought though, because if you take like a 50-point item on a special unit, it's usually going to be expensive anyway. So it's going to be a big unit. You're probably going to take it on. Like there's limits to how much you can really pump that unit with models.
Right.
But with core units, you can get that stubborn and get like a huge unit. Just hold people down, which could be annoying. Yeah. So I think that the balancing factor here might be how expensive the special, or the more expensive units are to really limit how big they get to really get the most bang out of that stubborn.
Yeah. So I took a unit of 25 Brothers of the Axe, which are pretty much the Tunajin Guard, and full command, just 25 of them with that banner. I think it was with that banner. I can't remember. It was like 420 points for 25 dudes. So it's a big sink, but they held their own.
Yeah.
I don't know did y'all talk about how champions, musicians do different things now than what they used to?
I don't even know what to do.
Oh, okay. No, that's new to me.
Okay, so a champion lets you re-roll your reform, so like combat reform,
Oh.
It lets you re-roll to see if you're march blocked, and there's a third one, but I don't remember. A musician lets you obviously re-roll. It lets you, instead of +1 to rally, it lets you re-roll the rally, which is better, and still gives you like the +1 if you tie on combat and stuff like that. And a standard bearer can never be killed. So even if you like snipe them out, someone else in the unit picks up the standard.
Does he still explode when they run from combat?
He does not. So champions
cannot be targeted by enemy attacks.
There you go.
Oh, that's new.
Yeah.
So if you have like an ambushing unit, it's good to have a champion because obviously you're probably pretty close to the enemy. And if you need to get that march off on the next turn, then having that reroll is pretty important.
Mm-hmm.
So reroll, reform. What was it, Bowie? Do you have it there?
Oh yeah. So champions get rerolls to march block. So I'm looking at it right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a big one. Oh, reroll also fails reforms and exchange from pursuits. Interesting. Okay.
Oh, you can reroll to restrain. Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like it that it's more than just an extra attack.
Yeah.
And being able to challenge.
He's an actual leader.
Yeah. I like that it feels like you're getting something for the 10 points a model.
I know they for musicians, there are some units that don't really need musicians anymore. So they lowered the cost of the a lot of it's usually like 10, 10, 10, but they lowered the cost of the musician for some units down to 5 for like fast cabs mostly because they don't need that reroll to rally because I think they automatically rally. I'm gonna look that up right now.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep saying bull.
Yep, you can reroll for failed rallies. Yeah.
For fast cab?
Yeah, for musicians.
Okay.
Just in general.
Vanguard is still a thing. I think Vanguard is only 6 inches now, or 12 if you're cavalry.
Yes. So mostly 12 for everyone else. I don't think I've met any Vanguarding infantry.
Yeah, so fast cab they do not cause a panic. Even fast cab, do not cause a panic when they flee through friendly units, and they automatically rally. So there's no real point of the musician, other if you really just wanted that +1, like if you tie combat.
All right. Let's why don't you give me your top 3 winners and losers from 8th to WAP?
Ooh, okay.
Armies or units?
Sure, anything. Whatever. Anything, whatever you want.
Okay. I can start off with my number 1 for top loser, I think.
Yeah, start with losers. Everybody wants to go in a circle.
Yeah.
Let's do some losers.
Yeah. Great weapon infantry.
And that's because they only get the bonus in the first round of combat now, right?
And they get -2 initiative at all points, and then only +2 first round, +1 after that. So halberds are like probably better now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just depends, yeah.
Okay.
But I think of like elves, for example, and like Wildwood Rangers, Sword Masters, the whole shebang. They're no longer like hitting initiative 5, they're like initiative 3. And you're like,
unless they charge, then they're I4.
Elves though, like that get some special rules to not to go off on a tangent, but Sword Masters now ignore great weapon penalties.
Oh,
something like that. Yeah, so they
that's good.
To help them out. Yeah, it's like they're elves.
Yeah.
So it's like there's actually a reason to take Sword Masters again.
Mm-hmm.
The Executioners, Wildwood Rangers, and White Lions still get pretty rough though.
Mm-hmm. So like great weapons have turned from kind of like reliable can openers to
first round can opener.
They're killer first round.
And then they're dull.
Kind of blitzkrieg troops.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So my biggest loser is going to be cannons. Thank God. Anything else about it?
They're still good, man. They're still good. Just not as busted. Not like a point and click kind of thing.
Well, so here's my thing is that if you are going to shoot a cannon at a monster, which is generally going to have be on a 50 millimeter wide base of some description, unless it's like a rogue idol or something crazy, or Ragnarok spider. The direction of that scatter die is going to, I don't know, I would just kind of thinking about it, there's probably like a 30% chance that that cannonball actually hits the target, right?
You talking about old, like an 8th edition?
No, now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Previously, I think we did the math. It was like a 60% chance or something that was going to
Oh,
hit.
yeah. It was like an 80, I think, to hit the thing. Stupid.
Yeah. So I'm going to guess there's probably about a 30% chance now that because the initial landing zone scatters, that you actually hit what you want to hit.
Well, if you're shooting at like a monster, that's a skinny thing. But if you're firing at a unit, you'll hit the unit.
Yeah, but so what? I mean, you're going to trade a cannonball for 3 infantry? Like, I'll make that. If I'm on the receiving end of that, I'll be thrilled that you're shooting at infantry instead of monsters.
Right.
You think there's a cannon's lost? I think that for my loser, probably anyone who liked character walls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Bretonians, ogres, vampire counts, the dude who ran 30 night goblins, the night goblin heroes. He was an awesome guy, but the list was just hilarious.
I would say poison attacks had a big loss. They took a big loss.
The skinny meat prize.
Yeah, because now you have to, you're +1 to wounds. So if you needed, let's say 4s to hit normally, now you need 5s to wound instead of 6s. It's not just an automatic wound. Mm-hmm. But that's all I can think about for losers that y'all have already said.
I would also say the magic phase, but in a different sense. Mm-hmm. Whereas it's not nearly as dominating, I think. You know, where you have to always bring level 4, you always try to get the big spell, you always try to 6 dice of health. Like it's changed, and I think in a way that you're not penalized as much for not playing into the magic phase. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about winners?
Well, we're still on. We got 3 losers, man.
Oh, you got more losers?
No, we each have to have 3. We're on number 2.
Oh, jeez.
Are we? Oh shit. Okay.
3 characters with not being able to take heavy armor or something when you can only take light or medium now. I'll go with that.
My number 2 is going to be the spell scrolls because they're good still, but not nearly as good as they used to be.
Right.
Yep.
I agree with that too. Good call. Good call.
Ranked up core troops.
Buses.
Oh,
yeah,
like
buses,
bus, yeah.
So it's slaves, zombies, skeletons, pajama men, all that.
What's pajama men?
Empire.
Halberdiers.
Oh. I usually saw them in horde formation anyway, so I guess that's fair.
Oh, true. Yeah. Men at arms.
Yeah, men at arms. Stupidity, I'd say, is my last loss, just because you can't use the BSB. Does it really say that?
Well, if you look at the BSB rules, it says that it only applies to
trolls.
Yeah, it says the panic checks and break tests.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't cover. I would say then just the BSB.
Yeah, BSB in general is significantly weaker. I think it's mandatory inclusion in your roster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It still is.
Yeah.
Just the break test rules. Essential on its own, but yeah.
It's huge. Fuck or screw cold ones. Get out of here. I don't need those anymore.
Wait, does that mean that cold one can't get screwed then for lizardmen? Because we don't get cold blooded? Oh no.
Oh, is cold blooded just the leadership checks?
And now I need to check because now I'm like sweating bullets.
That would be awesome. You're only rolling like leadership 7 or 8 for your.
I would cry.
2d6. I've only ever seen you take 1 cold one, and it's just the hero on the cowboy.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess you could say fast cav lost a little bit because you can't do the snaking. But they got buffs in other ways, so I don't know if it's technically a loss.
Another win or another loser. Should have wrapped it out. Let's see. Losers.
Loser.
I guess in a way, elves, because of losing always strike first. They now high elves reroll on ones to hit, but that's still, you know, when you're hitting on fours, hitting the rerolls on that's huge. Now it's only, you know, that's
When are high elves only hitting on fours? What?
Probably against other elves.
Against other elves.
Okay.
Or like not against, but just like a high weapon skill troop. You'd be hitting on fours or something for whatever reason. And then having that reroll is huge because you're going to hit most of those. Now it's just hit on fours and no, I didn't get any ones.
So you don't hit with now almost every single attack but one. Now you might actually miss with like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Yay.
And you don't fight in 3 ranks anymore.
Okay. I didn't know they lost that.
Mm-hmm.
You also lost the world. Did you guys lose the world banner dragon or dragon?
It changed.
Whatever?
It's now it just gives the unit MR5.
Whoa.
That's still really good.
That's really good.
It's supposed to be. It's not
Holy
just any
cow.
magical attack, like, you know.
Yeah.
You can't cast spells on this unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. They get a 1-up versus like pick up or die. Woo. And a +5 to dispel against. Wow. Magic resistance does not stack with does not go against magic weapons, right?
No.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure.
Your demons quietly grin.
I know. Yeah.
I guess I don't know. My other losers, yeah, they already mentioned poison attacks. Hordes got, you know, are a big loser because they no longer exist. So
You should say steadfast. Steadfast is a loser.
but that they need to be a loser though. Steadfast is kind of broken.
All day.
Yeah.
All day.
God.
I think that losing the horde formation rule is probably good for the game, but limits how you're going to be able to use certain melee infantry
And sell more models.
Right.
and some more models.
Yeah.
I feel as though I'd be fine with like certain armies having the horde rule for certain models, like Empire, Skaven can run hordes. I'm like, yeah, that thematically makes sense, you know.
Yeah, I think like some like orcs and goblins. I think definitely Skaven, like kind of like the monster, like beastmen should maybe have that rule. Or no. Someone's shaking their head.
Yeah.
Kyle says
just
yes,
looking at
Luke said
Kyle.
no.
I was just looking at Kyle. No.
I think Empire and Skaven and maybe orcs and goblins, since they're the thematic, like, you know, horde armies can keep horde,
Well,
but
Empire still can, right? Because spears and pikes have drastically changed.
You remind me, I've got a winner now.
So let's switch over to winners.
yeah.
So can I do it before I forget?
Yeah, go for it.
My winner is Empire State Troops. With the new State Troops rule is so badass. It makes you feel like you're actually running a pike and shot army because so long as they have the State Troops special rule, they can all do the counter charges and support fires. So it's not like you have specific detachments. It's like, nope, these 25 halberdiers are right next to 20 handgunners. Like, just support fire, and then the swordsman charge flank. Yeah, it's so cool. And they're all small units now. Like, they're all like 25-man little bricks. So you are actually running that kind of cool army.
All right. Bowie, what about you? Who's your number one winner?
I would say cavalry came out on top pretty well. You know, I think the changes to unit strength, changes to steadfast, really makes you're no longer penalized. You can still break armies. Break units when you get a good charge on them. Impact hits are great. The initiative bonuses are really huge as well. I think that cavalry has definitely walked away from this edition going, yeah, we can actually start breaking things now.
Okay, Blue.
I would say shooting. Shooting overall is not my number one winner. Just the amount of devastation you can do with shooting now. Sometimes I think it's a little much because you can just take a whole army of archers and just obliterate an army before they even get across the board. Just depends. You can build some really nasty stuff. But shooting for me. What about you?
My number one's going to be monsters because cannons are not as good. There is protection for the riders, both in combat and in in the shooting phase, and they also now are not just effectively unit strength 1.
Oh yeah, where they could be like the enemy could be steadfast if they just have 5 models versus a monster. So dumb. So bad.
Oh, I remember when they FAQ'd that, Nate, and I was playing Dan.
Oh yeah.
And he's running like all the ogre shaggoths and all that kind of crap, and it was like, yeah, 5 guys, steadfast, men at arms, suck it.
Makes 0 sense.
Yeah.
All right, back to you, Peter.
Let's see. I'd say I'll go with another kind of army book theme here. Brett's. Brett's now get devastating charge in lance formation.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So like I'm planning on running like a mounted list where it's going to be a lot of like a couple like 9-man units, like 9-man Grail, 9-man Realm, 9-man questing, and then I'm going to take a bunch of like 6-man blocks too, because everything's getting an extra attack, and you get impact hits for horses now. Like that's a pretty cool list, I think.
Did you see that for cavalry for the lance formation? After your initial attack, you then move to 5 wide.
Really?
Yeah. So
you don't actually thing. Huh.
Yeah, you don't stand. It makes sense because it's like you stand the lance, and then everyone feels like it's like you then go 5 wide, which sucks for movement trays because it's like my movement tray is 3 wide, and then I then have to pull them off and make them 5 wide.
Yeah, that's true.
Brett's got a huge buff. They are strong again. They're top, I would say, top tier.
Yep. So Brett's.
Okay, Bowie, number 2.
I would say, going after the theme of monsters, I would actually say like lords on or characters on monsters in terms of like the hero option. Again, war machines got nerfed. I think you can't like snipe out a character in close combat compared to like, fighting the monster and stuff. The combined profiles are really huge there. So like running an Elven Prince on a dragon or running like, a bunch of other crazy stuff on big monsters is now a very viable option.
Okay. Blue, number 2.
I'm trying to think of a second one, and I already said shooting, so maybe like shields, having shields, or no, I don't even know. Come back to me.
I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it. I'm going to go with anybody who wants to run an MSU style list, because small to medium size units seem viable again, based off of what we've kind of talked about today. The game is not going to be dominated by blocks of 40 to 60, and then units of small redirectors and chat.
Right.
Yep. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm going to go with command groups. I think command groups are really important now. The abilities that champions, musicians, and the standard bearers can you can stack multiple in combat res. I would say that's pretty important. Just that reroll is pretty important. That's my number 2.
Okay.
Okay, my last one, I guess.
Yep.
I'd probably say low-level wizards, or any list you want to take low-level wizards on. Bunch of like level 1s and 2s and stuff. Like you're not losing out too much if you're not taking a 4. There's obviously space to take level 4 if you want to get all those big spells. But just like I want to take level 1 with my Empire to get on like life to get Flesh of Stone. It's like you pay for it, you get it, and you don't have to obviously roll for it for the spell. So cool for like augments. Yeah.
And you get all the attributes too, or not the attributes, the signature spells.
Yeah, so you always get your signatures.
Yeah, so you get to choose the 1s and plus signature, which is nice.
So you always have 1 more spell than your wizard level.
Yes.
Like a level 4 has 5 spells, level 2 has 3.
Well, some lores have like 2 signature spells, so you can have like dark magic too. Yeah,
a level 1 or 3 spells for high elves is fun, and you get the +1 to dispel. It's just like it's sick. Yeah.
What you got, Bowie?
I was gonna say shooting, so I don't know. I stole my thunder there. I guess I think. I mean, that's really what I have in mind. Oh, I think. Let's see. Charging actually as a concept, because I think that the +1 initiative, is now way. I mean, again, the initiative changes are huge. I think like getting the charge off is important as well. I mean, yeah, it's just, guess we'll go with that.
Okay.
So I want to say chariots because now they can march now, but honestly, I would I know, I guess it's this cliche, but I want to say the players, because the amount of lore that are in these books, like and the amount of options you can take. For example, since Peter he's a big Empire player, or is an Empire player, that book is like 250 pages, and 200 of it is lore, and the rest is just maybe it's probably more than that. And you can take, I think it's like 18 different knight units.
It's a supplement. They made an entire nightly order supplement for all different chapters of knights.
Yeah, so it's like space. I know it's paying 40K, but it's like every regiment of knights can take like its own Space Marine chapter kind of ability, like blazing knights or blazing. What is it?
The Blazing Sun.
Thank you. The Blazing Sun, the Panther, and there's so many more that I had never heard of. Like they just mentioned.
Some of them are a little janky. Like they obviously made these things up on the fly.
See, I don't know. Cool ones. I don't know if they were made up or if they were like mentioned once in the lore. And
yeah, like something from like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think just the book and the
Warhammer
lores.
Fantasy Foreplay.
I'll tell you that there are no rules for anything in any books that is not grounded somewhere in lore. Because Matthias has said so much.
What about you? What's your last one, Kyle?
Infantry with armor. Armor just has gotten much better. We didn't really talk about, but they rescaled the way that armor works. So now there's light armor, medium armor, heavy armor, and full plate. Each of those gives you from a 6 up to a 3 up. And then you get your shield on top of that. If you are, on foot, you could have barding with that. So I think you're going to see a lot more stuff in this game that has better than a 4-up armor save.
Yeah, like Bowie had his like 1-up. He had like 1-up Chaos Dwarfs the other day.
Yeah.
Terminators walking across the board.
Because they have like something called like, it's not Grommel armor for you or Grommel. It's, I don't know what
Black
it is.
Shard armor.
Black Shard. So it's an additional +1, right? So you get full plate, Black Shard. If you have a shield, that's 1-up. And then if for some reason you're shot from the front of a shield, it's a 0, but I think it only goes to a 1-up maximum now. Don't know if that's maximum. But you can see skeletons with like medium armor and a shield. That's a 3-up versus ranged attacks from the front. That's huge trying to cross the table.
They need it. They need it because shooting is so good now, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think some shields are like half a point instead of a full point.
Yeah.
Buckler. What about bucklers?
I was gonna say we didn't talk about bucklers either.
Yeah, I know.
So
bucklers are cool.
Parry.
Yeah, it's just a 5-up parry in close combat. It's pretty neat. On top with a dodge or something, you got a 4-up in close combat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think if you have a shield or a buckler, you don't get your parry save if the strength of the attack you're trying to parry is double your strength. So it's like you're not strong enough to parry the attack, so it just goes like right through.
Yeah, a swordsman cannot parry a bloodthirster.
Shucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there anything else? That covers a lot.
We talked. I was
going to say, any last minute thing? We wrap this up. We're going on 2 hours now.
I'm glad that I have a printer in my apartment now. I don't have to print things out at the office sneakily.
Yeah. Sneaky.
What do you guys want to start doing some book reviews of different?
That's a good idea.
Oh yeah, I'd be down with that.
Because sure. I guarantee you nobody has started doing those.
That's such a good idea, and people actually want to see that. Like they really want to see like what's in each book.
Yeah. We could take a poll if you want to see like who wants like which book is the people want the most.
And we all look. Should we do it like we all read it and then?
I'll read it, share our thoughts, and just go through it. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Awesome. And then we can go through like some of the like the fan made. They're all fan made, but like the Nippon and Ind.
Yes.
All like the random ass ones. Yeah.
Oh, they would be super interesting.
That's why I love that about WAP. It's just almost every single army that's been in lore has its own army book, and he's obviously building it out even more. But it's just incredible. You can build something that if you fell in love with it while you're reading the lore, you can make that army now.
Oh yeah.
Bring out the samurai. I've got a ton of samurai, so we can do Nippon.
You actually have samurai?
Sweet. Yes, I have it was an Empire army, but I have enough samurai to run a like 2,500 point Nippon list.
Bring it on Thursday. Or sorry, Sunday. Bring it on Sunday.
Oh, dude, yeah, come bring your Nippon list, dude.
Yeah,
I'll bring a Nippon list.
Dude, that'd be amazing.
Yep.
I've got my Nippon list too, but
yeah, bring those on Sunday. You could bring them tomorrow or Tuesday if you wanted.
No, I'm bringing my new army.
Dogs of War.
Yes.
I have no idea how they do, but I'm excited to play them. It'll be fun. So what else do we need to talk about? I guess we have made a Facebook page and a Facebook group specifically for SquareHammer, trying to get as much people around for that, which seems like it's growing pretty fast, and just trying to show content, trying to get everyone in. Thanks everyone for listening. Hope you all enjoyed it. Try and subscribe, like, comment. That's it for us. Had a good talk. Thanks for coming out, guys. Really good, well in-depth review of WAP.
You do it.
Thank you. Remember, guys, it's always hip to be square.